Three,
Three. Yep.
two. Okay, cool. On both ends. Here we are. So does this mean we're live streaming? I think that's how I start every pre-show now.
YouTube is, and I just hit the go live button for Facebook
Okay, so you have to hit a
because,
physical button.
yeah, because you have to have the stream going for Facebook to then allow you to hit the live button,
Gotcha.
where
Ooh, let's
YouTube
see.
just starts.
See how many streamers we get this time. By the way, John, did you see that Grayson, my boy Grayson, commented on a few
Yeah, I
YouTube
saw that.
videos? Yeah, and he watched the stream last week.
Yeah,
He might watch this week. I don't know. Um, but
yeah, I saw
this
that.
this is the most regular time, six
Hmm.
o'clock. So if anybody is already watching the stream, this is the most common time we'll be on.
It is.
And if you're listening to the pre-show, which I have no idea if anyone listens to the pre-show, uh,
Yeah, I don't know.
I
I
do,
mean,
you do, because you edit it.
yeah.
But yeah, 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 8 Central, 9 Eastern,
Hmm.
probably 7 Mountain on Sundays.
Yeah.
Um, I did want to. This might be something that I talk about on air, John. I don't know on the real
Yeah.
episode, but because it always comes up and it usually gets edited out of the episode, I'm hoping my dog is much less uh, busy today, distracting
Oh
me. So far, he's being good. I took him. Did I tell you about my rollerblades yet?
no.
I got a pair of rollerblades a couple weeks ago at a Goodwill in my size. They were $13 and they were in pretty decent shape. And I went out once with them with Coconut with my dog,
Hmm.
and it was so fun. And he sprinted the whole time, but I didn't have any pads, so I was super scared. So for Christmas, I made an Amazon wish list and I put pads on there. And my brother
Hmm.
and his girlfriend got them for me, and
Right.
it's been a game changer. So I just took him out rollerblading. Like I'm still sweaty from it, and he sprints the whole time. And I have now this last week I only had 2 distractions for him. This week I have 4. So they're loaded with peanut butter, and he's lying on the floor right now. So
Hey.
for now it's good, but the second he starts gnawing on, oh, I'm trying to see if there's a way I can show you this. Hang on, this is just for the streamers. But can you see? Oh, there's Coconut. Not what I'm trying to show you. I'm actually
No, I
trying
can
to.
see him.
I'm trying to show you. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
I'll take a picture or something. But there's a knob on the cabinet behind, on the dresser behind me here.
Hmm.
It's basically gnawed down to nothing. It's just like a nub now, and it's just I'm like, what is your deal, bro? And it's wood. It's just crazy. Anyways,
Sounds
hopefully
like you need to
today.
get some metal knobs.
I know, I know. Oh gosh. So, fingers crossed for today is all I'm saying.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna turn the heat down in this room.
Oh, I might do that later. All my talk about sweating got John even hotter. Dang. How can you hear me?
Wireless headphones.
Oh, wow. The future is now. You don't need to be plugged in to be able to hear me. I was going to talk so much crap on John. I don't know why I'm whispering like he can't hear me.
Unlike your sister and I last week.
Yeah, I forgot to text you. Yeah. You were what was funny, my takeaway that was funny was that you were trying to get my sister to talk crap, but she didn't. She's so nice that she didn't even know how to. She's like, yeah, yeah, he's the
I
worst.
wasn't necessarily trying to get her to. I was just doing that so you had something to
I
listen to.
know. It was so funny. And then I got back. I was like, oh, something happened here. Yeah, that was good. Um, um, okay. Do you have anything for tidy up? I have an idea for something if we have nothing.
We've got the new patron.
Yes, yes, and the thank yous for the birthday wishes. I got to shout. I got to shout. I don't know if I'll be able to shout all the individuals out, but
Did you
yeah.
see what picture I used for Instagram for that?
Yeah, the deer one, the reindeer one, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny because for a second I thought, oh, he did post that one when I sent him that a while back, and then I realized, oh no, that's that's such a funny picture. That was so great.
Yeah.
Um,
No, the I couldn't use the video in a story or in a just a regular post because the video of you unboxing was like 2 minutes, and a post won't allow for more than a minute.
oh, I was wondering. I was almost gonna suggest just okay. I was almost gonna suggest just putting the 1 minute up and saying see the full
Right.
video here. But anyways,
Yeah.
okay,
Well, I mean, I put the video into a story,
okay, cool. So they
so I
can
split
click
it up
through.
there.
Uh huh.
But then in the post, I just said, "Hey, you can go to our YouTube channel and see the video."
Yeah, that's cool.
So
That's cool. I don't know if you ever do this. I would used to put link in bio if you've ever done that. I'm sure you've seen it, but
yeah, I've seen it.
it's
And
it's
I
n-
thought about doing it, but I had just hadn't done it yet.
yeah, it's not a bad way to go about it, but it is annoying because you got to change it in the profile every time and what
Mm.
I mean whatever. It's not that many steps, but still.
Right.
Um
And remind
yeah,
me,
then
I just thought of something that we could talk about offline.
okay.
So
For my private ears only.
yes.
I'll try to remember. I'll probably forget. Just warning you now. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's just the thing that I have for the tidy up is actually connected to Mighty Duck, so I can probably slip it in just anywhere. Let's
Okay.
just keep the we'll do the grandma patron and I'll do a thank you and we'll keep it nice and short and sweet probably.
And I almost made it through all 3 movies today.
Mm. You
If I
actually
hadn't
went
been
for it.
watching, yeah, if I hadn't been watching the extended edition, I
Oh.
would have done it.
Uh-huh.
I have like 2 hours left of the 3rd movie,
It's
which is
funny how
half
like
of the movie.
I was gonna say it's funny that 2 hours left is almost done because that's like a regular movie.
Yeah.
That's great. Have you seen them relatively recently, or is your memory pretty good on them, anyways?
Um, it's probably been a decade since I've watched them, even though I've got like the extended edition DVD, like they came in the nice, look like book type
Uh-huh.
cases, but no,
Oh,
it'd been a long time since I watched them. I had a fairly good memory of them, but
okay.
there's always stuff that you forget and everything.
Yeah,
But
that was kind of me with Mighty Ducks. I actually only watched the second and third one. Ironically, I didn't watch the first one. But my memory's pretty good about it. But like I said, man, I've been taking in all things Mighty Duck. I'll tell you on the podcast. But
yeah.
it's been
Well, I was listening to the soundtracks for the Lord of the Rings this morning, and then I'm
cool.
like, yeah, I mean, Em and I we got our booster shots Friday at noon,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
and wasn't as bad for me as my second shot was, but I mean, I still just
You
laid in
still
bed all
had
day yesterday,
gotcha.
and
Yeah.
like I still have a low grade fever now.
Oh
I feel like,
man.
and Em just wasn't feeling good today at all either. So I laid on the
Dang.
couch watching the movies afterwards, and she just laid in bed sleeping.
That kind of worked out well. It's
Yeah,
like you were allowed to have a lazy day.
yeah, and then she came out and halfway through the second movie, and so
That's good. You got a little
yeah,
bit of watch time together.
yep,
Nice. Great, great. Yeah, I kind of forgot that the booster gives you some people side effects, some not. But yeah, that's what I've heard that it's not
yeah.
as
Like
bad as
the
the.
first shot for me, like my arm barely hurt, like no effects.
uh,
Second shot, I had like 102 fever.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it like as I got closer to the 24-hour mark, like I just kept feeling worse and worse until my boss like, "Hey, I gotta call it a day."
yeah. You got to take
So
care of yourself. Wow, you got
yeah,
it bad. I got like a night of of chills. I probably had a fever while I was sleeping and soreness
hmm
the next day. But like I think I got it relatively mild, which is
yeah,
grateful for.
yeah. I mean, my arm is still tender, but I also got a Tdap vaccine as well.
Yeah,
S-
got it.
Since Em is allergic to that and can't get it while being pregnant with Charlie, I got it just as an extra layer of
Oh, good.
safety.
Wise move, my friend. Wise
Yep.
move. That's good. I know something. Let's do we know what we're doing next week? Just kind of have that on.
Uh,
I should tell you that sometimes if
we
we're running way over, I cut out the promoting of the next week.
no,
So
that's fine.
some weeks I don't do it. I think that gives us a little bit of freedom too.
Yeah.
Uh
We don't. I mean, we just have MLK episode
MLK
question mark,
episode. Yeah, and that'll be
which
could be a tricky one to do.
that's honestly, I mean,
I don't know that we can make an episode. I mean, not in an offensive way, but like it's not a holiday with a lot of rituals and things. So
right.
it's about a very important man, obviously, but I don't know that it could support a whole episode. Like
Do you know anyone that's involved with BLM or anything like that? Because this could be a really good one to have a guest on.
Yeah. I have someone coming to mind. But yeah, no promises. I'd have to think about it. I'd have to see. We'll talk about it more. We'll see if we can
Okay.
find something. Let's just like not promote anything this week,
Right. Yep. That sounds good.
and then we can kind of leave our options open.
Yeah.
All right. And Erica asked first last week, which is basically me asking first. So do you want to ask the first one this week?
Sure.
Okay. And what you want to take us out of the you want to say the first word of the podcast too?
If you want me to.
Yeah, do it, John. Do it. I don't care what it is. I'll follow your lead just at the very beginning. Okay. All right. Do we feel ready then?
I think so. It looks like we have one viewer on Facebook.
On Facebook? Any idea who it is?
Yeah. No.
See me. I wasn't picking my nose, whoever that is. I was wiping. I didn't actually insert a finger into the nostril. I'm gonna check the levels of this really quick. Oh, and I want to put it in live mode. Go.
And I don't know if they're actually watching right now.
Okay.
But they did for a moment.
Oh, somebody was curious and then was like, "Oh my god, I'm watching live," and then they clicked off. Have you ever done that? I've done that. Oh no, I'm live and I'm the only one. Now they know I'm watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I usually forget about live stuff. But
what do you mean? Like to go watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I only ever have watched it if like I see. I wonder what this is about. And then like one time I remember somebody called me. I said, "Oh, Kevin, you're here watching." And I was like, "Oh," I left it real quick. It was not necessarily something I wanted to be in. So,
I get that.
Okay, I'm gonna do what you did and turn the heater off, and then I'm ready to go.
Cool.
All right, what do you think? Ready?
I think so.
I will probably kind of abruptly bring down the theme song.
That's fine.
But in post I'll make it sound like a smooth drop down. So okay, here we go in 3, 2, 1. John like second lives in Indiana, you know. It started where I paused it. Let's go. This is 2 weeks in a row where I screwed up the beginning. Here we go.
Damn it, Kevin.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Kevin likes the Dodgers. No, I totally rewound it back to where it's supposed to be. Okay, wait. Zen talks on the why is it jumping to there? Okay, I got an idea. Radio. John plays games on Xbox. Drum roll. Okay, I have to hit something else first to reset it. So we get a drum roll. We're learning. We're not. Well, I am a professional broadcaster, but I'm not a professional podcaster. That's the okay.
No, we are because we're getting paid.
That's true. Gosh dang it! I got nowhere to hide. At least coconuts. Oh no, he's chewing up a shirt. Okay, so. All right.
That didn't take long.
What is this? 4th time's the charm here?
Something like that.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. John like second lives in Indiana, you know. Kevin likes the Dodgers and talks on the radio. John plays games on Xbox and on his Nintendo, while Kevin runs around LA with his mustachio. It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast.
Hey, Kevin.
John, welcome to whatever episode number this is.
29.
I was going to say, I think it's 29. Wow, we're almost hitting 30. Yeah. That's mighty impressive. Episode 29, and we are, we'll just jump right in. The subject is movie trilogies, favorite movie trilogies. I don't entirely, we've had this one on the back burner for a while, and I believe it started because at some point I mentioned the Mighty Ducks in an episode. Unless you remember a different story. I think that was all it was, and I was like, that's my favorite trilogy of all time. Right. And it was like, oh my gosh, we need to do an episode on it. So I've already spoiled what I'm doing. I'm doing the Mighty Ducks, my favorite trilogy ever, which I can get a little more into. But what are you doing, John?
I'm doing the Lord of the Rings. It's one of my favorite trilogies. I don't know if it's the favorite, but it's definitely up there. I mean, I asked Emily last night, I'm like, if there's already 3 movies out for a series, a franchise, but there's a 4th one coming out, but it hasn't come out, is that considered a trilogy?
Uh-huh.
And
Is
she
that
said
true of Lord
no.
of the Rings? Is that what you're saying? That's
No. I
oh,
was
you're just
originally thinking John Wick because they were originally only
oh,
going to do three movies, but then they did a fourth, but it hasn't come out yet. So I was
gotcha.
trying to figure out if I could.
Well, we'll stand by Emily's answer, but my answer would have been not until the movie drops. So, like, so you had a little bit more time. It makes me think like because one of my answers other than Mighty Ducks would be like Star Wars, but then I'm like,
Right.
well, there's technically 9 of those movies.
It's a trilogy of trilogies.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't, don't know if that would have been an acceptable choice.
Yeah.
Mighty Ducks, I think I stand by as like actually my favorite trilogy ever, and there's a lot of nostalgia for me. I
Hmm.
was a young kid when these movies came out. I know you've watched all of them too, right, John?
Yep.
I chose the Mighty Ducks, and then I sort of had a thought like, maybe this is just more my nostalgia. This is more the kid in me. I'm gonna watch these movies, and I went back and rewatched, and I am
Hmm.
like just as into them as ever. And it's weird because I'm like almost into like the culture of them. Side
Right.
note: Coconut is chewing the dresser already, so
Hey.
um, like I'm into the culture of them, meaning like I like following what the characters did and what their
Hmm.
backstories are and seeing them progress throughout. There is a weird hero's journey within the trilogy, even though it's just a
That's
Disney
true.
movie about some kids who played hockey. And I got to tell you, John, I sent you a text about this. I have been immersed in a world of Mighty Ducks. I've watched 2 of the 3 movies. I've been watching the new TV show finally, Disney Plus. And
Hmm.
I also found a podcast, which I'll shout these guys out because normally my rule is don't promote other podcasts, but there's a podcast in case anybody else has an affinity for Mighty Ducks like I do. It's called the Quack Attack podcast, and they're apparently pretty. They seem like they have a pretty decent following. I've listened to like 3 episodes. They've been going for 4 years, but they dig deep into like, okay, what do we think? What do we think happened to Charlie's mom? And like, like a character they don't give any
Hmm.
screen time to in the second movie at all. But where are? Anyways, I'm
Right.
listening to it. So all that to say, I'm trying to bring it down a notch because I realize like not everybody listening to this is here for the Mighty Ducks. So I'm going to try to keep
That's
it at a
true.
surface level as much as possible. But as you can hear, I'm very excited to dig into the story
I
of the
mean,
Mighty
yeah. I mean,
Ducks.
I was kind of doing the same thing today. While creating the quiz this morning, I was listening to the soundtracks to the Lord of the Rings, and then I'm like, I've got nothing else to do today, so I'll just start watching the extended editions. And I got halfway through the third movie before we had to start recording. So
Yeah, that's pretty impressive to get basically what two-thirds of the movie's done and then a little more. I don't know what is math, 3/4, whatever. I don't know.
yeah.
And you got the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. And by the way, as I was walking up to the microphone to sit down, I literally had the Mighty Ducks song, the do 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 do. So that's how into it I am. Should we hit another song?
Sure.
All right, here it is.
Tidy up before we go any further with the show. Tidy up before we go fix our mistakes tonight. I wanna get it right. Tidy up.
Yes, our tidy up section where we usually the idea. It's funny because the idea behind this is that we clean up errors that we made, and that is probably
Right.
what we do least in this section.
Yeah.
But we also what we realize is we consider it a chance to do any kind of tidying up, which includes like
Hmm.
shout outs to people. I know we have a new patron, and I'm gonna let you
We do.
handle it, John. Yeah, I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, we've got a new patron. Just came in right before the new year.
Mhm.
And that is my grandmother, Jan.
Yeah.
Um,
What was it? What's
she's
her first name? Lois?
Jan.
Jan. Oh, is there a Lois involved somewhere too?
That's my mom.
Oh, got it. Okay, so Grandma Jan.
Yep, this is Grandma Jan.
Woo!
She became a patron, and we very much appreciate it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I know that we just crossed the new year,
Yes.
and last year we were able to get half a year of podcasting in. So, Kevin, this year I'm challenging you to a whole year.
A whole year, 52 weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
We can do it. This is because January 2nd is episode 1. We're not gonna like.
Right.
I guess is there? Yeah. Anyways, yeah. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. We're on episode 29. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. We're gonna be one of those podcasts where people find us and they scroll back and they're like, there are way too many episodes on here. I don't know where to start. That's our goal. Well, yeah. So I'll extend my thank you to Grandma Jan, and I'll extend a thank. I believe she was one of these thank yous that
She
I
was.
owe. Yeah, a second thank you to Grandma Jan and to many others, including your mom Lois and your Uncle Dale. And I shouldn't have started naming actual names because I'm going to forget them all. But these people all wished me a happy birthday via social media, and my big thank you goes out to John because he posted a picture. If you don't follow us on socials, we're at Lack of Genius. There's a picture of me literally. I'm basically kissing a wild deer. I was
Well,
on
and that picture was only on Instagram.
Yeah, that's right.
That
was
wasn't
only
on
Instagram.
Facebook.
That's right. Oh my gosh. So that's just on Instagram. The rest are on Facebook, where another thank you to John. So John posted this picture and these videos and said, hey, it's Kevin's birthday. You all should wish him a happy birthday. And, I don't talk about this a whole lot, but I'm not on any social media, so I don't see any of this. And he sends me screenshots of all the happy birthday wishes. It was so nice. I really felt loved.
Well,
I'm not even
there's
joking.
actually a couple that I hadn't gotten sent to you yet.
Oh my gosh. There's even more love for me to get. That's great.
Let me pull them up here for you real quick.
Sure. I'll take the love.
One is from where are they? Oh, they've disappeared from notifications.
No.
Let's see here. Comments. There we go. At the bottom. Your sister said, "Happy brother birthday."
Oh, nice.
And Alex Braymeyer said, "Happy birthday."
Yeah, that's great. She's a former camper of ours, Camp Laverne, and now she's taken over. She's going to start directing the junior camp. That's so nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I felt really loved. I was very touched by you even posting that, John. John also posted a video that's on our YouTube page and on all our socials. It's the Lack of Genius first ever unboxing video, and it's because John sent me a gift, and he literally texted me. Actually, the Amazon person was delivering it, and they couldn't find my gate, and they called John. And John texted me and says, "You're going to be getting a call from Amazon," and I was already on the phone with Amazon. But yeah, I got this, and I was like, well, let me just set up a camera and unbox it. It's spoiler alert, it's mini Can Jam, but the Frisbee disc game that he got me the full version of for Christmas, which was hilarious, but the video tells the whole story, so you can go check that out. All right, I'm going to hit that quiz time jingle then. Let's do it.
It's time to take a quiz or two. Lack of Genius podcast doing this for you. You may fail, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time. Don't really want this quiz to be tough. I just want to pass one cause I failed enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time.
What happens during quiz time, John?
We quiz each other.
Quiz each other. Yeah, there's nothing fancy to it. That's literally, it is the bread and butter, as I've called it before, of the Lack of Genius podcast. If you are new to us, we literally quiz each other on one topic each every week as a way of proving the other's lack of genius, and also just as a way to learn about a cool subject. And so I'll be quizzing John on Mighty Ducks, the trilogy of the Mighty Ducks. And John, you're going to get us started with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, yeah?
Yep, that's it.
Heck yes. Let's go for it.
Well, it helps if I get the right page pulled up here.
We're doing a Boy Scouts episode eventually, and John, it sounds like you were not prepared as the Boy Scouts tell us to be.
Okay, so I figured we'd start off with a question about dates.
Oh, yes, okay.
And something that's interesting is, I mentioned earlier that I've been watching all 3 movies on, today, and those are all on HBO Max, which is a Warner Brothers thing. And they just released yesterday, on the 1st, a 20-year anniversary of Harry Potter thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But what year did the first of the 3 movies come out? 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003.
Yeah, I mean, those choices don't. I would have told you early 2000s, so you hit them all. I don't know why. Oh gosh, I 2002 comes to mind, but to be honest, 2002 kind of comes to mind for the second movie, and I don't know why that is. And maybe it's just because it's got a 2 at the end of it. And it's called The Two Towers, and it's second movie. I think it's called The Two Towers.
Yep, it is.
And for some reason, I thought that one came out in 2002. I know, and again, I hope I'm not spoiling questions, but I know the third picture, which the name is escaping me right now, but I know that wins Best Picture when it comes out, and I'm trying to remember what year that was. I'm almost wanting to say that they came out every 2 years, 2000, 2002, and then 2004 is when they won the Best Picture Oscar. I don't know if that's right, but based on that logic, I'm going to say the first movie came out in 2000.
Incorrect.
I thought that might be.
I almost spoiled the answer because I brought up it's 2001.
It was
right.
See, I remember
they came out both came out in December of 2001.
Oh, see that.
And so what I was about to start going on a little rant of, where's our 20th anniversary thing on HBO?
I know. I was like, why did he bring up Harry Potter? And if anything, I thought it was because 2002 was going to be, but then I still went with 2000. So I don't know. Okay. All right. So say that again. 2002, 2001.
2001.
December of 2001. The first one comes out.
So they spent just a little over a year from 99 to 2000 filming all three movies.
Oh, that's right. I think
and then they released them once a year.
Okay, that's pretty sweet. That's a pretty sweet deal because you don't get that kind of turnaround these days. Or do you? No. I guess you do, but it's funny because in the early day in the 90s, you got like far separation between things. So this was like a new pace, yeah.
But yeah, so
all right. So
officially 20 years old.
99 and 2000, they started, they filmed and then they started releasing them. So I'm making sure I'm not about to spoil a question, but you hear 20 years for Lord of the Rings. How about 30 years since the first Mighty Ducks movie came out? That's not a question I'm asking you. 1992, right. The first one came out. So this is their 30th we just stepped into. I'll ask you the first question. We all know that Emilio Estevez plays Gordon Bombay. That's the head coach. Which of the following actors was originally offered the role of Coach Gordon Bombay that was played by Emilio Estevez? Is it A, Charlie Sheen, B, Bill Murray, C, Rick Moranis, or D, Steve Martin?
I feel like you put Charlie Sheen in there only because that's Emilio's brother.
Emilio! You ever see what's Night at the Roxbury?
Maybe.
Every time I hear Emilio Estevez's name, because Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan, they do this thing. They always tell the story like, we were in line and you'll never guess who we saw. Emilio Estevez. And I was like, Emilio! The way he says it is so funny. I don't do it justice. But anyways, that was a callback to that. Charlie Sheen is Emilio's brother. So you see that. What else you got?
I kind of want to say Rick Moranis.
Uh-huh. What's your thought process there?
Like I mean he was really big then with the Honey I Shrunk the Kids and things like that, and then I know he stepped out of acting to be a dad, I think after his wife died. Mm-hmm. And right. So I think that could have been around when Mighty Ducks came out, but I'm not positive. So I'm just gonna guess Rick Moranis.
All right, Rick Moranis is your choice. Mm-hmm. John, that is incorrect. I'm sorry. I was really proud of myself for putting Rick Moranis in. It actually was Charlie Sheen. He was offered the role first. He turned it down, and later it went to his brother. I don't know if there was any. I don't know if it's nepotism, if it's a brother, but I don't know if Charlie Sheen said, "Hey, hire my brother instead." Or what. Rick Moranis was not involved in any way. I put that in because he was, very active at that time. He was the coach on Little Giants. It kind of seemed like it would make sense that he would be considered for that. Yep. Bill Murray, believe it or not, actually was considered for the role, but they deemed him too old for it. Steve Martin is just connected to Bill Murray, so that's why I put him in there. Yeah. other notable casting choices that could have been differently. Joshua Jackson was casted as Charlie, I was gonna say Charlie Sheen, as Charlie Conway, who's the captain of the Ducks and kind of the main kid character. Originally, Jake Gyllenhaal got that role. And a young Jake Gyllenhaal was supposed to be Charlie Conway, but his parents didn't want him to do it for whatever reason. So they took him off. And the probably the biggest name that also auditioned, but Joshua Jackson beat him out, is Leonardo DiCaprio. Auditioned to be Charlie, and Joshua Jackson won it out. So just thought I'd share those fun facts.
And I do need to do a real time tidy up.
All right.
Harry Potter came out the month before the Fellowship of the
November.
Rings did.
It's weird because I actually kind of remember that. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but I had friends who were in high school, and we went to I don't know if it was an opening, but we went to see the first movie around, and for some reason November comes to mind. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, the movies are fun, but I'm not a fan of her writing.
Got it.
Yeah, I think she just took a lot of stuff from a lot of different other authors and mashed it together. But
Gotcha. Is that a popular opinion, or is that just kind of?
I think it depends on who you talk to.
Gotcha. Because I know she's beloved, and I know she also kind of shot herself in the foot by making some pretty not good remarks, to say the least. But anyways, yeah, okay, very interesting. I just don't know how to read, so I never got into the Harry Potter books. That's all.
I read enough of, I guess, spoiler alert, the book where Dumbledore dies when it first came out, to like literally like, you know, it was still on the bookshelves like right when it came out. I picked it up, went to the back because, you know, there you know, the whole thing was, you know, someone dies, and I read enough to figure out who died, so that way if I wanted to,
you could be culturally involved. You could be culturally
I could spoil it for someone.
You could say what you did. You just spoiled for me and
Right.
many others listening. All right. Well, we're both 0 for 1 to start, and then that's not good. Let's keep going.
Yeah, and so, you know, I mentioned the music this morning, and Howard Shore is the one who composed the music for all 3 Lord of the Rings, and I think he also did the one for the Hobbit trilogy as well.
Oh.
But I need to double check that one. But before he, you know, composed the music for the movies, he was a musical director for what show in the 70s?
Cool.
The Bob Newhart Show, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, MASH, or Saturday Night Live?
Very cool. I've never heard of Howard Shore, and I'm sure that maybe you'll have some facts for him for me on him, but I will likely look him up because I become such a appreciator of music in movies and scores. But yeah, Bob Newhart, Mary Tyler Moore, MASH, or Saturday Night Live. MASH jumps out to me. I just maybe it's because I can hear. I can't sing the melody, but I can hear it in my head for MASH. It's interesting because the music for Lord of the Rings I think of as super epic, right? And
it is, yeah.
I don't think of the MASH theme as very epic. In fact, I always thought, I think the piece of music is fine, but I always thought it was like such a lighthearted kind of sound for a show about war. But it was also a comedy, so
it was satire.
Yes, exactly. So that does make sense.
And I believe the title of the theme from MASH is called "Suicide is Painless."
Oh, is that right? Oh my gosh!
And it actually has lyrics in the movie.
Oh, in the MASH, is it in the MASH movie?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Wow. I wonder if you know all that because you just researched it all because you know that Howard Shore composed it.
No, I've watched the movie a few times and
you already
watched
know
the
it.
show.
Well, you know, I was already leaning towards MASH, and the other ones would be kind of just a dartboard throw. So I'm going to choose MASH. I'm going to lock it in. Dang.
It's actually Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
he was the musical director from 75 to 80. Shortly after he got out of college, he hooked up with Lorne Michaels for Lorne Michaels' show with someone else. I forget the name of it.
Oh, yeah, I kind of remember that. I mean, I don't remember watching. I just remember hearing about that existence of that.
He's the one that actually suggested the name Blues Brothers.
No way.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, and he is another reason why I think John Williams is overrated as a composer.
Oh yes, I did know that you think this. Yeah. Why is that exactly?
Um, well,
In
so
this instance, I mean.
yeah, so one for the three Lord of the Rings movies. Granted, they're long movies,
Mhm.
but you know the term leitmotif, right?
Yes, but no. What does it mean?
It's basically a little short musical phrase that is used to denote, a character or something like that. Think Imperial March for Darth Vader.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Everyone is
Okay.
yeah. So they're just in um the three movies for Lord of the Rings. There's like 85 to 110 different leitmotifs.
No
For the
way. Wow.
hobbits, there's one called Concerning Hobbits. There's one for the Fellowship, the 9 main characters as a whole, and that evidently is more than all of the Star Wars films put together.
Wow. So your point being that he really went and got into the nitty gritty of it. Did this,
Right.
really
Yeah.
got detailed about identifying characters and
Right.
setting the mood
I
for
mean,
them.
and you can if once you know that, then you can hear it.
Yeah. Yep.
Because whenever there's a Hobbit on a screen, you hear that Concerning Hobbit theme.
Yep.
Even if it's just a little short bit, you'll still hear the strings there.
Well, I know you did this for me, and I bet you somebody else listening, next time we watch this, we're gonna have new ears for it. We're gonna notice, like, oh my gosh, yeah, there it is. What is it? Literally a late motif? L-A-T-E?
L-E, yeah, L-E-I-T.
L-E-I-T, late motif.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's
it's
French.
light, late. It
Got
just
it.
depends on, but yeah, and actually that Concerning Hobbit theme, which is the theme that you first hear when you see the Shire at the beginning of the first movie and stuff. That's actually the song that M walked down to at our wedding.
Oh my gosh, my heart is melted. Oh my goodness. Wow, that is so sweet. And that may have something to do with you choosing this. I don't know. Maybe there was a subconscious influence. What was? I mean, is this a movie that she loves? Is that just
No,
a
it
piece
was
of
just
music she loves?
I mean, it's actually one of my favorite themes from a movie.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And it's just pizzicato strings, like it's just a very light-hearted,
Oh.
not in a fun, not lighthearted and funny, but just like kind of light, serene,
Yeah.
song.
It sounds very ideal for walking down an aisle to, kind of setting that sort of spring flavor of goodness. Wow, I'm so glad you told that. That's so great. Yeah, because I was gonna say I don't recognize the theme. I don't hear the theme in my head immediately, but I guarantee if I went back and watched it, I'd be like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, you would, yeah.
That's great. Well, I'll tell you right now that Mighty Ducks does have some use of leitmotif. In fact, every time the character Dwayne, who's the cowboy from Austin, plays, anytime he's doing his little fancy, he's going yeehaw, yeehaw. They're playing a little, and what I'm
Country
gonna
western.
promise to you right now, I'm gonna walk down the aisle to that someday. I'm gonna take one out of Emily's book and take the Dwayne motif from Mighty Ducks 2 and 3.
And the rest, like the rest of the wedding party, walked down to the Jurassic Park theme.
That's great.
So
Oh,
I can't say that John Williams isn't good. I just think
Yeah.
he's overrated.
Okay, that's a fair assessment. Yeah, there is
Because I mean, he did write Jurassic Park.
yeah.
So
Well, it's kind of this is such a weird comparison to make, but it's kind of like how I don't like Kanye West's music at all, but clearly he's hugely popular. He's something for a reason. So I would say again, it's not that Kanye West sucks. He's just overrated in my opinion. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Random.
I mean, I think he
random note.
sucks.
Yeah, I do think he sucks. I don't know. I guess some of his earlier stuff was pretty good, but I don't get the appeal. All right, moving on. Mighty Ducks number 2. Let me actually go off of this one. So the filming of which Mighty Ducks movie was the first event ever held at the Arrowhead Pond, which is now called the Honda Center, which is the home of the professional Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, and now they're called the Anaheim Ducks. I know that was a confusing question, but this new facility, this new ice rink opens up in Anaheim, the Arrowhead Pond. First ever event was the filming for which movie? Was it the Mighty Ducks, D2 the Mighty Ducks, or D3 the Mighty Ducks? 1, 2, or 3?
Does this spoil a question if I clarification on D2 was the one where they went to the Goodwill games, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that doesn't spoil the
Yeah.
question. Yeah, that is the one that happens. Yes.
I'm gonna go with that one, D2.
Okay, you gonna lock it in,
Yep.
John? Good guess. Correct. Yep. And did you hit that too, or did I hit it?
I think you hit it.
I hit it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good guess. I figured if you kind of have seen the movies, you'd probably be able to piece this one together. Yeah, just to kind of fill in the blanks. Yeah, D2, the Mighty Ducks, the final game. Well, actually, let me kind of backtrack. The first Mighty Ducks is Pee Wee hockey. It only takes place in Minnesota. It's kind of on a small scale, so they never play in like a big arena. They only play in the
Right.
same local one in the Minnesota St. Paul area. The second one they became
Minneapolis, St. Paul.
What did I say?
Minnesota, St. Paul.
Minnesota, yeah, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Thank you, the Twin Cities. The second one, they become Team USA for the youth Goodwill games, and they, spoiler alert, make it to the final round. And spoiler alert, they win. And in
Of course,
that game, those games take place in Los Angeles, and the final game, literally in the movie and in real life, takes place at the Arrowhead Pond. So but it was literally the first thing ever they hadn't held a game there, no concert. They actually filmed it over a few days, and they couldn't get enough people to show up for filming every day, so they started using cardboard stand-ups and filling them in. You don't see, I was looking while I was rewatching, you don't see it, so they did a great job. They just kind of did it for filler. And yeah, and that just kind of brings me to it. And then I'll finish the thought that the third movie takes place where they all get scholarships to attend an academy as the JV team, and their biggest rival is the varsity team, and I'll get more into that later. But that does as I mentioned, the second movie, really the first movie, prompted Disney to create a hockey team, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, who are now known as the Anaheim Ducks. And the fun thing that I learned is that Michael Eisner, who was the CEO and the president of Walt Disney Company at the time, he, even as the first movie was coming out and didn't even know if it was a success yet, already had it on his mind that he wanted to bring a hockey team to Anaheim. And so,
that's cool.
So when the second one came out, it was already sort of there as what we'll call like a cross promotional thing. It was yes, it was big for the movie, but it was also big for the new franchise. And I know as a kid, I'm not into hockey at all, even though I love these movies, but I was excited when the Mighty Ducks became a real thing. So that was very cool for me to see. All right. So what, I'm 0 for 2, right? You're 1 for 2? Wow.
I am.
All right. Okay. Well, let's keep going.
And kind of in the same vein as your first question, Boromir, who's played by Sean Bean, which immediately tells you that character is going to die.
Why, does he die in everything?
Pretty much.
Oh, that's funny.
Originally had this Bond actor audition for the role of Boromir.
Oh, interesting.
Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, Roger Miller, or Sean Connery.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'll be honest. I had to Google Sean Bean, and right when I see him, I'm like, oh, okay, I know who Boromir is now. Yeah,
Ned Stark from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
That's probably his biggest role outside of Lord of the Rings.
Which is funny because I never became a Game of Thrones watcher. Maybe someday I'll go back. But yeah, I do know culturally who he is from that. So yeah, I got to reread the question here, but okay. So there was a Bond actor who auditioned for the role. Which one was it? Okay, Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, Roger Miller, Sean Connery. I don't know why, as a kid, maybe it was because Pierce Brosnan was in GoldenEye and 007. When I thought about a movie star, he was the face of a movie star for me, and he was in Mrs. Doubtfire. So he was the guy.
He was in a lot of stuff.
He is. I don't see him as being a Lord of the Rings kind of guy, though. But I don't know if Sean Connery. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Daniel Craig seems like he'd be too young. Sean Connery seems like he'd be too old. So does Roger Miller. Pierce Brosnan seems like the right age, but doesn't seem to have, like, I could see Sean Connery playing that role of Boromir. I couldn't see Pierce Brosnan doing it. But it does say auditioned for the role. So it doesn't mean they were like highly. Maybe they were highly. Oh gosh, I am so back and forth on it. All of these. Even though I don't see it, I'm gonna choose Pierce Brosnan. I'm doing it. Ah man, I'm off to.
It
a
was
terrible
actually
start.
Daniel Craig.
It was Daniel Craig. Okay,
Yep.
so he yeah, that makes sense. I could see it.
And so the development for the movie and everything was really long. And it actually switched studios. Like it was originally at Miramax, and Weinstein was like, yeah, we want this movie to just be one movie. And Peter Jackson was like, okay, if it could be 4 hours long.
Yeah.
And Weinstein was like, no, it has to be like 2.5 hours or something like that. Eventually, it got moved over to New Line Cinema, which was like, yeah, we want it to be a trilogy.
Okay.
But with all of that, you know, they suggested for like Gandalf, they suggested Christopher Plummer or Sean Connery, which evidently both declined. Morgan Freeman was mentioned.
Wow.
Max von Sydow, Richard Harris was, I guess, in the running, but then Miramax declined that, or New Line declined that, and he actually went on to play Dumbledore in the first couple of Harry Potter movies before he died.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
So he still played an old bearded wizard.
Yeah, he's still got a shot. Some things are just meant to be.
Yeah. But yeah, like for Viggo Mortensen's character, evidently they looked into Daniel Day-Lewis, Russell Crowe. Yeah, like there was just a bunch of big names.
Yeah.
So
now Viggo Mortensen has a tail. Is that correct?
what do you mean?
Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? I'm pretty sure, unless I'm confusing people, I'm pretty sure Viggo Mortensen has a tail.
I don't know.
Like, meaning it's like an extended spine, and there's a little. And now I got to Google it. Yeah, Viggo Mortensen tail. Does Viggo Mortensen have a tail? There's like if you Google it, you'll find a cleft is what it's called. It's called a cleft. It's like an extension. Just Google some pictures. I think there's like a love scene that he does, and you can see it. And anyways, there you go. I'm now spreading rumors about Viggo Mortensen. You're welcome.
And
all right.
evidently, Nicolas Cage was suggested by New Line to play Boromir.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Well, lucky for Sean Bean to get it. Wait,
Right.
Sean Bean? Yeah. Okay, wow. So I got some work to do. I'm 0 for 3. You are 1 for 2 going into question 3 about Mighty Ducks. Let's see how you fare here. How many players? This was a fun one for me to make. How many players from the teams of the Mighty Duck trilogy were also featured in Disney's film Heavyweights, which is definitely a classic. One of my favorites, still holds up today. How many of the players from the Mighty Ducks trilogies were also in Heavyweights? 2, 3, 4, or 5?
And that's got Christopher Lloyd in it, right? No, that's Camp Nowhere.
Yeah, you're thinking of Camp Nowhere. This is the one with Ben Stiller. He's the he's the villain. Perkins. I can't think of his first name, but yeah, he takes over the camp, and it becomes like a living hell for all the kids there.
Isn't there a theory that character then became the Ben Stiller character from Dodgeball?
Yes, I've read. I think there's like a fan, whatever. What do you call it? Fan theory. That's where he wound up, which is so funny because they are very similar characters.
I'm gonna go with 4. It's been too long since I've seen Heavyweights that I can't. Yeah.
You can't like think individual.
No.
So you're just gonna take a stab at 4.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, John, that is incorrect. Sorry, you're 1 off. It was. The 3 are the main character, whose name is Jerry, and that was played by Aaron Schwartz, and he was Dave in the first movie, Dave Karp.
Okay.
He only appeared in the first movie. He was not in the second and third one, and I didn't really research it. I don't know if it was because he was too busy with Heavyweights, but the other 2 that were in it, Kenan Thompson, who is arguably maybe the most famous Mighty Duck kid, though Joshua Jackson had a great career. Margaret Moreau, who is played Connie, she ended up starring in quite a few things. But Kenan Thompson to this day, I'm tempted to. I wanted to finish the thought, but Kenan Thompson has been famous my entire life, basically,
Right.
from all that to Mighty Ducks to Heavyweights, and Kenan and Kel, and then he got on SNL, and he's like the longest running cast member on SNL. But yeah, he was in Heavyweights, and then Goldberg from the Mighty Ducks he played Josh in Heavyweights. His real name is Sean Weiss. If you Googled, if you a few years ago, if you remember, if you Google him, there's some terrible pictures that come up of him because he got strongly addicted to drugs, to meth, and there's a terrible mugshot picture of him where he looks like a decrepit 80-year-old man. It's very sad. But I'm happy to report that my research shows me that he is like 9 months sober or something like that, maybe more. He like lost his teeth and he got teeth implants and he's putting on weight and he looks healthy and happy. I don't know about happy. I hope he's doing well. Just wanted to acknowledge that. A quick little thing about this movie, about this question though. I had to specifically say that it was players from the teams because the woman who plays the camp nurse in Heavyweights and also is the love interest of the main dude, Pat. Her name is Leah Lale. She makes an appearance in D2. She's at a fancy party. She's a waitress, and she has a quick line because they ask her, like, the dude's trying to prove a point to Gordon Bombay and says, everyone in this town wants to be something different. Watch, what do you're a server here, but what do you want to be? And she says she wants to be a director or an actress or something like that. So she was in that movie. Also, that movie Heavyweights was directed by the writer of all three Mighty Duck movies, Steve Brill, who also, one last fact that I'll share is that he has a cameo in all three Mighty Ducks movies. So he's the director of Heavyweights, but he's the writer of Mighty Ducks. And in the first movie, he shows up as the lawyer that goes against Gordon Bombay. In the second movie, he is a celebrity at a party. And in the third movie, he's a carnival attendant at the Mall of America. So he appears in all three Mighty Duck movies. And there's my overflow of facts because I've been consuming nothing but Mighty Ducks for the last 3 days. All right, John, you're 2 for 3. I'm 1 for 3. You got the lead, but we're going into question 4.
I thought I was 1 for 3.
Oh, are you?
Was the answer 4?
No, it was 3, but you got the first. No, you got. Oh yeah, you're right. You are 1 for 3. Oh my gosh. I'm 0 for 3. Am I right on that? God, I'm all over the place. Got it. I just knew you were winning. So you're 1 for 3. I'm 0 for 3. Thank you, John. Good real time tidy up.
Yeah. So, you and I were talking earlier today about how, you thought I could only get through the 2 movies, and I'm like, it's possible I could get through the 3 extended. The 3 movies total extended running time is 686 minutes, which is equal to 11 hours and 26 minutes.
Okay.
The normal is like 9 hours in some, like what was in theaters. So if I watched the non-extended, I would have made it.
But you went for the extended, which was, what'd you say, 11 hours and 26 minutes?
Yeah. It's like an additional 2 hours of stuff.
Wow.
Over all 3 movies. So I put that in there just so as a time, so you can think about this. How many feet of 35 millimeter film was used to shoot all 3 movies? 6 billion, 6 million, 6,000, or 600?
Is that enough to get to the moon and back? Is my question, which is a callback to our tinsel fact from the Christmas episode. I'm sure there's some sort of logic I could use here based on mathematics, because if you figure, okay, how many inches, let's say, I don't even know what measurement to use here. My point is, I'm not going to be able to use math. I'm sure there's a way that I could if I thought, okay, for every minute of film, you use X amount of 35 millimeter film. The theme of the choices is 6. It's either 6 billion, 6 million, 6,000, or 600. I don't believe it's the latter 2. I don't believe it's 6,000 or 600. I'm very tempted to go big. God, the jump from 6 million to 6 billion is huge, though. It really takes 6 billion feet of 35 millimeter film. Let's find out. I'm locking it in. I'm saying 6 billion. Oh, I got greedy.
You're close. 6 million.
It was 6 million.
Yeah.
I even as that's why I was saying it. I was like, that's a lot of film. But 6 million is very impressive.
Or 1,828 kilometers.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I mean, yeah, it got cut down to 11 and a half hours total. But I mean, you got to think about everything else that, got cut out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't just Oh, no. The question though was just for what aired, what actually
No.
made this is everything.
This was everything. I gave the time as a
just a reference point for this is
reference
how much
point,
was in the and I was going to ask that question earlier, so I'm glad I didn't because I would have spoiled that question. Oh, mighty impressive. That's a lot of 35 millimeter film, which is that the very flammable stuff?
Probably. I mean, this was just at the beginning of digital and everything.
So maybe they use a different.
From what I was seeing, they thought about trying to use shooting a large format like 65 millimeter and then master the films at 4K.
Okay.
But evidently that was still very cost prohibitive, and they couldn't do that in New Zealand for some reason.
Interesting.
So they used fine grained Super 35 millimeter.
Gotcha. Okay.
Subjected it to rigorous digital grading, whatever that means.
All right, good to know. All right. Well, I have. Let's see if I can do this right. I am now 1 for 4. No, I'm 0 for 4. I haven't gotten a single one right. Oh my gosh, this is not looking good for our hero. If I'm the hero, John, you may be the hero here. You're 1 for 3 going into question 4, and here it is, and it's a true or false. Oh man, I'm not going to spoil the last question yet, but I'll tell you right now, the last 2 questions you got a 50-50 shot on, so things are not looking good for me at all. True or false, John? Emilio Estevez received no pay for his role in D3, The Mighty Ducks. Is that true or is that false?
I'm guessing true because he wasn't really in the third movie. I think he was like at the very beginning, and that was it. And I could see him as just just appearing to appear. So
you're gonna say true.
I'm gonna say true.
That is correct, John. Yep. If you maybe you could figure that this would be true because I just asking the question leans to it. But yeah, you're right. He was hardly in the movie. He was not the head coach in D3. He has 20 minutes total of screen time, and in fact filmed all of his scenes in 1 week. He is throughout the movie. He comes in at the beginning to break the news to Charlie that he's not going to be their coach. He then comes in again. The third movie's premise is that the kids all get a scholarship for Eaton Hall. I'm worried that can't remember if that is the name of the. Anyways, it's for a prestigious academy, and they get a scholarship so that they become the entire JV team. And they get a new coach, and that's one of the conflicts of the film is that this new coach is very. He's just not very fun. He's very by the books. He's very strict, and so there's a lot of tension between him and the players. Emilio Estevez comes back because the character Han passes away, and so he comes to his funeral. And then he also shows up. This scene ended up playing a little bit funny as an adult, but he shows up because they take away all of the kids' scholarships because they're not performing well enough. And so they have a hearing with the board to plead their case. And then Gordon Bombay walks in because he used to be a lawyer in the first one and drops down some lawyer knowledge and basically threatens them with a lawsuit, and the board revokes their decision. So he comes in and saves the day there. But here's the behind the scenes stuff that is pertinent to this question is that Emilio Estevez, I don't think wanted to do a third Mighty Ducks. And so I think some of the other cast didn't either. In return for his 20 minutes of screen time, Disney funded his passion project, which was a film called The War at Home, which I'm not familiar with, but it stars Estevez. He's a Vietnam vet who suffers from PTSD and has trouble adjusting back to real life. Kathy Bates is in it. Martin Sheen is in it as well. It didn't do all that great at the box office, though my understanding is it is actually a pretty good movie. But he got to make his passion project in exchange for doing Mighty Ducks 3 for free, which I think is pretty cool. My last thought that I'll share about D3 is that as a kid, I remember how disappointing D3 was to me, because from my perspective of they just won the World goodwill games. They literally proved that they were the best team in the world,
Right.
and now their foe is the varsity team. Like that seems like such a
Right.
step down. But when I was able to watch it through adult eyes, it's kind of like, oh, that is a pretty big deal that they got scholarships to the school and
Mhm.
that they're taking on these, they're 14 or whatever, and they're taking on these 17-year-old dudes. Like that's,
Right.
I don't know. It had its moments. But D3 still remains my least favorite of the three movies. I think D2 is probably my all-time favorite. D2, D1, then D3, but D2 and D1 are pretty closely tied for me. So there you go, John.
Yeah, I realized I didn't do a true false question for you this week.
Oh, see, I gave you two 50-50
Right.
choices.
But
and I got
did
none.
give you a question that has 9 possible answers.
Oh my gosh. And this is the last one. And by the way,
It is.
for our purposes, I have to get this right if I want a chance to even tie, right?
No,
no,
because I got 2.
You already won. Oh man, damn! I'm so off my game today. It's because my dog has been I don't know if you've noticed me in the background. I
Mhm.
don't blame my dog, but he's finally lying down again. I'm no longer distracted. So give me my question with 9 choices, so I can see if I can get one right.
So I kind of alluded to this earlier. There's 9 main members of the Fellowship. You've got the 4 hobbits. You got Gandalf. You've got Aragorn. Boromir. Gimli, the dwarf, and then Legolas, the elf. Everyone drooled over Orlando Bloom.
Yes.
Yeah. But of the original 9 members of that fellowship, which actor was the tallest?
Wow.
Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, Orlando Bloom, Sean Bean, Ian McKellen, John Rhys Davies, Billy Boyd, Dominic Monaghan, or Viggo Mortensen?
I'm going to take this opportunity because I'm 0 for 4 and on having a potential of going 0 for 5 and having my self-esteem hit very hard to brag that I looked like Orlando Bloom, and that was the peak of my life. And just for reference, because if you see me now, I don't know that Orlando Bloom is what comes to mind, but in college I had long hair, so very, and my hair is very curly actually when it grows long.
Mhm.
And I think before I had the mustache, I had just sort of like a little bit of a pencil-y sort of facial hair that apparently looked like Orlando Bloom. I didn't see it, but I took the compliment. And now that I'm an old man, I'm like, yeah, when I was in my 20s, in my early 20s, I looked like Orlando Bloom. I'm wondering if this is the reason that you put this as a question is because maybe it's one of these characters who is very short in the movie. And the characters who are short in the movie would be Elijah Wood and Sean Astin, I know for sure, because they were hobbits. And Dominic Monaghan was he was also a hobbit. Yeah. And I know that name specifically because I love Lost, and he was in Lost. And I remember when he was in Lost, I was like, oh, he's always going to be the Lord of the Rings guy. And now I know him as Charlie from Lost. Gosh, it is weird though, because perception, I'm like, oh, Ian McKellen must be so much taller than all these guys because Gandalf is such a tall character and such a, but because I gotta go off of the logic that I just outlined, I'm between Elijah Wood and Sean Astin. I'm gonna say that, and so I just think it's gonna be one of those two. Do I think I think of Sean Astin as kind of short, and is that because he played a freaking hobbit? Is that the only? And because he played Rudy, the little guy, I'm gonna choose Elijah Wood. I'm locking it in.
That is.
Oh!
It's actually John Rhys Davies.
Played the other Hobbit or
nope.
No? Did he? Who does he play?
He played Gimli, the dwarf. So not the shortest,
yes!
Not the tallest.
I forgot about him. Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Or you may also know him. Yeah, you might also know him from Indiana Jones.
Do I? I don't know if I do.
He's the guy that helps Indy in Egypt.
I'm not super clear on my Indiana Jones knowledge. I'll be completely honest. So I don't know if I've seen all the movies, but I don't have a super photographic memory of that film series.
Yeah, he's the one that normally was like wearing all white with like a Panama hat.
Okay. Got it. Yes. Okay, got it. Yes. And it's funny because I just Googled John Rhys, and the first thing that comes up is John Rhys Davies' height.
Yeah.
So it's
he's 6'1".
He's
But
6'1".
yeah, but he's not actually the tallest in the movies of all the actors in the movies. I think that's actually
it.
Chris Plummer,
Okay, got it.
Christopher Plummer. He was 6'5".
Got
He
it.
played Sauron, the wizard that turns bad.
But you would beat all of them, John.
Right?
You would win. We got to get you casted next time.
Yeah,
Hey,
this question I had a different question for the last one, but this one actually came about because of watching the movies. I was like, Gimli is the one that I love that character because he's he's got a fantastic beard
yeah,
and everything, but he provides a lot of humor.
I was gonna say he's very funny. That's my memory
Yeah.
of his character.
Yeah, his like in the third movie, like Aragorn and Legolas are going into this cave, and Gimli's just like, this can't be the first time that an elf goes underground and a dwarf won't. And so then he goes in.
That's
and,
great.
And so then I was like, I identified, they like to drink, and stuff like that. And I'm like, there's no way I could have played that. And then I was like, I wonder how tall he was. And he was 6'1".
And then you're like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
It's just, the magic of cinema and how they filmed it and everything,
Yep.
Everyone else for the most part was under 5 foot, or not under 5 foot, under 6 foot.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because even like thinking about my choice of Elijah Wood, I've seen him in plenty of things. He's pretty like average height, not
Right.
so I maybe shouldn't have picked him, but I did. But that is the irony, right? That he plays this dwarf that John Reese, what is his name? John Reese Davies. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Plays this dwarf, and yet he's the tallest one. That's so funny.
Right. And evidently all of the 9 cast members, except for John Reese Davies, all got a matching tattoo of the word 9 in Elven script.
I remember hearing that. He's the only one who did not, though.
Right. And like, I guess in years past when people have asked him why he didn't, he said,
Uh-huh.
well, when an actor's going to be doing something that could put their life in peril, that's what stunt doubles are for. And he said he sent his stunt double to get it.
Oh, that's funny. Is there any truth to that? If it's
I don't know if
probably
there's
just a
any
joke.
truth to that, or if it's just him being funny.
That's a great answer regardless. It's probably just him being funny, and I'm filling in my own blanks here, but I get the feeling that the 9 probably were like okay with him, not like he probably had reasons, whatever they were, and I would hope that the 9 weren't, the other 8 weren't offended. I don't know, who knows.
I don't know.
I do love that story about the tattoos because it really tells you what a bond they had for that year and a half or whatever, 2 years of filming.
Yeah.
I don't know that I don't think any of the Mighty Ducks got tattoos, but I will tell you again, because I dug so into it, there was a whole lot of camaraderie on that set. One of the funny quotes that I read was from Marguerite Moreau, who played Connie, who I'm a fan of because she was in the Wet Hot American Summer movies and the series, and I love those. And I remember when I first saw it, because I remember thinking as a kid, like, oh, that girl Connie is really cute. And then when she came and showed up in Wet Hot American Summer, I was like, oh, the cute Mighty Duck is in. And I have such a crush on her. I'm just gonna say it publicly here. But there's a quote that she has where she said, look, I was 14 at the time, and I can neither confirm nor deny that I kissed at least 3, maybe 4, 5 guys on the set, and I was boy crazy. What can I say, And obviously that's hormones and stuff, but it sounds like the whole crew, all those kids were real close, which is very cool. So look at that. There's the that's the. This is gonna be
It finally
edited
come
out.
off.
Yeah, he bit it off. So I don't know why the rollerblading didn't work, man. You know what it is he just doesn't like that I'm not paying attention to him. I'm in a corner and I'm faced away, and he can't handle it, and it drives him crazy. Okay, John. Last question of Mighty Ducks, where I think this was my first 0 for 5 showing. I'm not 100% sure of that. But you won this episode, number 5. I told you it was a 50-50. I broke your losing streak and my winning streak. It was a 50-50 question because you were choosing between the 2 Bash brothers. If you recall, there are 2 characters who were the Bash brothers. They were the enforcers on the ice. Which of the Bash brothers of the Mighty Ducks is now a director of a treatment center in Malibu? He's a California licensed marriage and family therapist, and he's married to singer Idina Menzel. Which one is it? Is it Fulton Reed or Dean Porter. And if you don't know these characters, this is up on the website. Fulton Reed was the one with long hair. He was in the first movie. Dean Porter is the one who came in at the second movie and had the short hair and roughed everybody up.
Oh, I'm trying to remember if I've seen them in anything else. I'm just going to take a stab and go with Dean Porter.
You're going to choose Dean Porter is the one
Yep.
who's married to Idina Menzel and now is working at a treatment center in Malibu. John, that is correct.
Hey,
Nicely
I got 3.
done. What'd you end up? 3 for 5?
Yeah.
Pretty good, man. Yeah, so I was watching D3, and Dean Porter's character who shows up in D2 and is in the whole movie, he doesn't show up in D3 till the end, spoiler alert. He comes in at the end of the game because they need an enforcer, and he walks in the locker room and he's reading a thing and he says, "You are officially awarded a scholarship for," and so he comes in and saves the day. And I was watching him and I was like, you know what? This kid is a good actor. He's funny. He's a pretty good looking dude. Like, what became of him? And so I looked him up, and like the first things that come up is that he's married to Idina Menzel. They got married in 2017. And I think it's pretty impressive and admirable that he's an LMFT, a licensed marriage and family therapist. And he's the clinical director of a treatment center, which is pretty hard place to get to, and probably does a lot of work I know he does a lot of work in addiction therapy. And so kudos to him. And I'll quickly fill in the blanks on Fulton Reed, who is played by an actor named Eldon Henson, who you probably have seen in things, John. I remember he was in The Butterfly Effect. That's the movie I remember him from. But he was also in the first 2 Hunger Games movies. I forget which character he played. He was in Daredevil, the Netflix show. And he also is one of 5 of the Mighty Ducks characters who shows up in the Mighty Ducks Game Changers TV series. So he shows up as an adult. And fun fact about him, his name is Eldon Henson, but in the first movie, he was credited as Eldon Ryan Ratliff. And the reason, for some reason, I don't know the reason, but his real life true brother is the character Guy. It's spelled Guy, G-U-Y, but pronounced Guy in Mighty Ducks. And it's his real life younger brother. And for some reason, maybe they lied about that, or it was, I really don't know. But it's so funny because if you look these guys up, they do look alike. And they're both blondes naturally. So if you look up Eldon Henson, who played Fulton Reed now, he's a blonde dude with a beard. And they had to dye his hair black to play Fulton Reed. So anyways, that was my fun fact of the day when I realized that Guy and Fulton Reed are brothers in real life. That was like my mind exploded moment. So, oh man, John, I am disappointed in my 0 for 3, but I got to tell you.
You mean you're 0 for 5?
0 for 5, yeah, God, I'm trying to, I don't know why I'm so off. You know why I'm so off, other than the dog excuse that I'm using, is because I have filled my brain with so much Mighty Duck stuff that I think it just pushed everything else out. I have just been overflowing. I haven't been able to stop listening to the Quack Attack podcast. I'm watching the show. I want to get a Mighty Ducks jersey now. So as a result, John, I'm going to blame it. I'm going to blame my lack of genius on that.
It happens.
Or maybe I should just give you credit for being amazing and winning that episode. Good job.
I try.
You did great. Well, I hope you, the listener, have walked away with some fun fact about either Lord of the Rings or Mighty Ducks, and if you ever want to talk Mighty Ducks, I am always down. I'll tell you right now. I could probably start my own podcast about Mighty Ducks. Maybe I'll tweet at those guys and try to get a guest spot on their podcast.
No, you never know.
Yeah. I'm not a Mighty Ducks expert, but I am a huge fan, and so maybe they have a spot for me. All right, John, we are stepping into the new year, right? It's nice to get this first episode under our belt, and looking forward to coming back next week with you.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, Lack of Genius Podcast checking out for now. Bye.
See ya.